So this is John Mushayavanhu. And what John Mushayavanhu has done is he has added new exco members, 6 new exco members. Is expanded exco of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Now there is 16 instead of 10. So the governor is John Mushayavanhu. The deputy governors are Jessamine Chipika and Innocent Manche. The executive assessment or advisor is Maurice Mpofu. And the director of economic research is Mupunga Neptune. Director of banking operations is Ajinanda Saburi. And director of financial surveillance is Farai Masendu. Virginia Stolle is still the director or general counsel. Philip T. Madamombe is the director of banking supervision. Cleopas Chiketa is the director of human resources. I think Cleopas Chiketa is almost in the same position as Harry Melody. She's the director of corporate affairs, and Joseph Mberecha, director of policy and strategy. Neva Nyemudo, director of finance. Ernest Matiza, director of financial markets, and Tayengwa Chitauro, director of capital flows, and Clever Haparari, director of ICT and Hub. Why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because nothing here makes sense. Everything that Mushayavanhu is doing doesn't make sense. What is wrong at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe? What is wrong at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is the bank is operating without proper information internally and externally. And the bank has got the wrong people. So first and foremost, you need to fix the structures inside the bank, the process inside the bank, and the functions inside the bank. What is the Reserve Bank about? That's what you need to fix first. And then when that is fixed, you set up your exco, you fix your exco. The problem in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is the wrong people inside the positions. So eventually he has to fire people from the bank. Remember what I've been saying, fire the deputy governors, fire anyone in surveillance, fire anyone who handles cash, fire anyone who is in audit. Do you see what he's done? He's not done it because the actual processes or functions of the bank are not working. Let's look at the ZIG right now. What is the information on the ZIG? If you go on the RBZ site today, what is there? If you go into the weekly report, what is there? That information is not there. The market is starved of information. Is the ZIG the right thing to do? Where is that strategy? So someone like, who is the head of strategy here? Let's look at this guy here. Strategy. Verecha. What is Verecha's view on anything? You see, you can't appoint people whose views are not known on anything. So if you want to put someone as the head of strategy, that person must be someone who goes to the market and talks and who explains what they think. So if you ask what is Gambakwe's view on high-speed rail, do you have a question about what I think? So we should know about Verecha. What is his view on the ZIG? What is his view on the current exchange rate? What is his view on anything? So at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, we've got politicians and appointees. These guys don't know what they're doing. And that includes Mushayavanhu himself. He's never been a central banker and he doesn't know central banking. So whatever they've done at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, a total mess. You're going to see it, and I predict it here almost every day. Nothing is ever going to work at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe when you've got all these people that are currently there. Not only at exco level, but at board level. There's poor governance at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. They say things, they don't do them. Remember, they say that they're going to have a monetary policy committee. Did you ever see it sitting? Did you ever see them saying anything? When the currency crashes by half, you see them talking. You see, so the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the center of the problems in Zimbabwe, and Mnangagwa, the West president in the region. So you got two things, the West Reserve Bank governor and the West president, and then the West exco in here. I don't see anyone here who's going to make a change. But these guys have got no power to do anything. I believe Kuti, the actual Reserve Bank is inside Mnangagwa's office. And these guys are just there to hold positions, to wear suits, and to look pretty. Did I tell you that I almost died going to the Reserve Bank to attend an interview. Like, I think that was back in 2005. I attended an interview at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe when I was still based in Bulawayo, where I was regional manager for the bank, for IT. So that day, like similar thing I was telling you about, my car didn't have petrol. So I decided to jump into a lift. So a guy, one of the managers from a company in Harare, in Bulawayo, was going to Harare with his son. So I jumped in, and that was around 1. I was looking for petrol the whole morning. There was nothing on the street. And then I eventually left my car in the flat, and then I jumped into his Peugeot 504, I think, one of these new ones, the new Peugeots, 306, Peugeot 306. And then as we're driving, we drove all the way, and just as we're about to enter Harare, it became dark. And I was going to that interview at the RBZ. I think it was the interview of internal audit, something. So we were just about to get to Harare, close the roundabout, where there was an incident yesterday, but by the suburbs. And we were moving quite fast because we wanted to get there before it even got dark. And before we knew it, a haulage truck just appeared in front of us. He tried to brake as much as we could, and we went into that haulage truck. I was sitting in the back with I think we picked up 2 other guys, and we slammed into the haulage truck. I was sitting in the center. In fact, I was sitting on the right. The guy was on the center. He went flying past and hit the windscreen. And the one guy, I was sitting behind the driver. So I went into the driver. I hit him, and he hit the window. So that is what saved me. The kid was on the left and the front. He was wearing his belt, so it was fine. This guy on my left, he broke his spine immediately. Then at the back behind me, there was a petrol container because there was no petrol. So you had to carry your petrol with you. If you're going to Harare, you have to carry your petrol for going back. So there was petrol, and I knew that there was petrol there. So I was now struggling to get out. I was probably the only person who was uninjured externally. And I was pushing the guy on my right because he was just sitting there. And the guy on my left, he was like talking, but he couldn't move. So eventually I jumped over this guy and I went out. The boy was running into the road. So I had to go pick up the boy and say, come back inside on the side of the road. He came back, and we had to pull this guy and put him on the grass. So this guy was bleeding. The driver was bleeding very badly. But what happened thereafter was crazy. So that was about 7 o'clock. It was in the dark. No one showed up, including the driver of the haulage truck. We never saw him. We never saw no one for 2 hours. We're there. There was no person who showed up. The guys were driving, also drove past. And I eventually had to call my dad. And he drove from home and came and picked us up. And because I was not having any external injuries, we didn't go to hospital. I just went. And I left those guys sitting there. I also left them. I don't know what happened to them. And then the next day, I went to the RBZ to attend the interview. So I went there and I attended the interview. I was still fine. The thing that happened to me after that is that for the next 6 months, I had internal injuries that could not heal. Can you believe it? That I had internal injuries. I could feel scars healing inside my body. And I wanted to scratch, but I could not reach the internal injuries. I think inside my ribs, I had cracked inside my ribs. So that happened to me 2005 while attending an interview at RBZ. Why am I saying this? This place is a mess, and it almost killed me. So anyway, that's beside the point. I just like telling you stories about things that happened, and also about why Zimbabwe is so bad for you. If you're in Zimbabwe right now, you could die just by being in Zimbabwe. It could kill you. And Anamnanga, but they don't get it. When we tell them, could you fix the whole country holistically. They don't get it. They think